So I wanted to do another Fazbear Frights video because I finished reading To Be Beautiful. And since it's like a spooky story, conveniently spooky shirt. Probably like the spookiest thing I own, clothing wise. And I mean, it's just spiderweb, so whatever. Not super spooky necessarily, but it seemed appropriate. So here we are. So I have some thoughts on this one. I liked the overall concept, but the execution I was a little disappointed in. It seemed like it went a little too slow overall, but then once we hit the horror element of it, it went way too fast, if that makes sense. So I mean, I guess just hopping into the more spoilery things to discuss what I mean by that. In this story, we have this girl, Sarah, who doesn't like her body and is kind of an overweight girl, that kind of a storyline, finds a robot that is very evocative of Baby from the games, but is called Eleanor here, and Eleanor promises that she can help make Sarah beautiful, which is what Sarah wants. And so over time, they start doing things like first her arms and then her legs, and then she's a little taller, then they do her face, all that, and she gets more and more beautiful, at least, in what she thinks is beauty, and is discovering confidence in herself because she feels like she looks better, that kind of a thing. And then just all of a sudden, like this, basically we get, oh, here's why it's a horror story. Because she ends up tripping in the lunchroom, and she had this necklace that she was supposed to always wear. The necklace comes off when she trips, and then it turns out that she's got all these robot pieces, and how Eleanor has been making her beautiful is through a little bit of illusion from the necklace, and then using junk pile scraps to change her body. And then she runs home. Eleanor's like, ha 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 ha, uses her own heart necklace to become Sarah, and then Sarah basically dies as a junk heap. It's like, what? And so it just felt like it was too fast in that sense, because it was all of a sudden we get, oh, this is what the real horror of it is, which, I mean, I kind of suspected something like that, but you don't really get the details until that point. And then it's just over. She's just done. Whereas the bulk of the story is Sarah being unhappy with her body and trying to find confidence as she's getting more beautiful, and we get this very slow progression because it's a nightly thing that one thing changes, so it's slowly improving over time for what she thinks is beautiful kind of a thing, slowly making new friends with the popular crowd, going on a date and all this stuff that was just I kind of get the point, but the execution is just super slow. We do have a couple comments within the story where at one point she hugs Eleanor, and she makes the comment that there was no softness hugging Eleanor, so hinting at that robot body change that's going on. And there were one or two other little things like that, but I just felt like there should have been more, and maybe I'm too much interested in more of a classical horror story. But the fact that she asks to get her face changed, and then that everyone still recognizes her face, which I guess is maybe that it's a more beautiful version of her face is what they were going for, but it sounded like she'd have a completely new face at the same time. And if you have a completely new face, then it seems like people wouldn't recognize you or would be horrified at the change or something, which is more how a normal horror story would play it. And I thought that at least at that point, maybe some of the horror elements would start playing in. It'd be like, you changed your face, no one recognizes you, this isn't really what you wanted, but it didn't go that route. So I was very frustrated by that. But otherwise, one other thing that I wanted to talk about is that it was really kind of a depressing mindset to be in. I'm totally aware that there are people who have body image issues and stuff, but it was so frustrating to read because she was so constantly down on herself. She never had anything happy to say about herself until Eleanor started finding beautiful things in her. And I don't know, maybe I was a special case because I had some issues thinking I wasn't pretty as a kid and whatever, but there were still elements of myself that I could find that I could like, and Sarah had none of that. And so it's just very frustrating to be in that mindset and to be reading that. And it's just, anyway, I really liked her friend Abby, though. Abby reminded me of me as a kid, actually. Abby didn't seem to have any of the body image issues that I did have as a kid, but other than that, like the glasses, the coveralls, and the baggy clothes, and all these things, I was like, this is just me as a book character. So I really liked her, and I enjoyed having her in there, and I think she gave kind of the thesis of the story too, because she told Sarah that you're a person and you should look like an individual. And I was like, oh, that's a good theme. That's a good message to be trying to convey with your story, at least, even if I don't like the way that it was ultimately executed. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on this one. Good, bad, in between. Kind of ran the whole gamut for me, because again, I liked it conceptually. I didn't like the execution of it. I liked some of the characters like Abby, but the mindset was really hard to be in. So yeah, but overall, I'm going to keep reading these Fazbear Frights books. I'm excited to see what happens in the next one, because I don't know a clue of what it's all like to count the ways, and that gives no hints of what the story is going to be. So I'm very excited for that, and I can't wait to keep reading, and I hope you'll join me when I do my next review as well. That's all I've got for now. This is the Umla Harper signing out.